I never really paid too much attention to what my tax refund would be, just sort of got what I got. But now with Monarch, I'm able to see what that refund will be. And now I know I can allocate that towards the renovation I've been talking about. Monarch helps you see where your money's going and where your tax refund will have the biggest impact, because you want to make progress with your money, not just look back and wonder where it all went. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, investments, net worth, future planning, together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code DECORATING. Unlike most personal finance apps, Monarch is built to make you proactive, not just reactive. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple. Use code DECORATING at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com with the code DECORATING.
Draperies, blinds, shades, oh my. Hi, I'm Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wilkness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. Today we are talking about everything you can do to your windows. Blinds, shades, roller shades, Roman shades, woven, honeycomb, vertical, shutters. Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Everything.
Honeycomb. Okay. Take it easy there, girl.
It is something you can do to your windows. We're going to cover everything, even things maybe
you would regret?
Yes. Well, I think we need to cover them because it is something you can do to your window. And
excuse the cover pun. We can't help ourselves. We're just... All the options for window treatments can be very overwhelming. So the first thing to do to fight the overwhelm is to sort of understand what all your options are. And that's what we're going to cover today. And we'll probably give you some pros and cons, or at least our opinions on the value of the treatments, the beauty of some of the treatments, and the functionality.
Well, that's right, because there are so many choices. It is overwhelming. And sometimes people don't realize that certain choices are designer no-nos. And I think we have several on the list that are designer no-nos, and we want to let you know. And if you want to choose them, that's fine. We just want you to make an informed decision. That's all.
Information. That's what we're all about. And then you can make the best choice for yourself based on the information and our opinions. Then you can decide which way you want to go. So you want to kick it off?
Yes. So the first thing that we're going to cover are blinds. And these are mini blinds and full-size blinds. So this is really, I'm going to call it the classic workhorse. This is the traditional thing that a lot of people grew up with in their homes. They were originally aluminum, and now often they are plastic or wood. If there's somebody listening that doesn't know what this is, these are the horizontal window coverings that are slats that you can tilt open or closed. So I think everybody knows what that is. And these are really budget
I think
friendly.
We do have some listeners from Jupiter and Mars, so they might have needed a little clarification on that. We are really expanding our universe, and that gives me an opportunity to say that we are in so many countries now. So just a shout out to people that are listening to us all over the globe. Thank you so much, and we're so happy to be with you.
Absolutely. So these are really budget-friendly solutions. If you've rented an apartment, if you've rented a house, this is probably what they had in the windows. So they are excellent for light control and they are affordable. So those are the two pluses for these. And you can get them anywhere. I mean, you can order them on Amazon if you want to. But the con is your designer is going to tell you not to put them up. So they are not a choice that the designers choose. But if you're in it for something budget friendly, I think this is the way to go.
I'm fighting that good fight right now with a client and her husband. I'm going to let you guess who really likes the blinds. And I really just don't think it's a good choice. They had blinds. We're doing a whole remodel. Hey, couldn't we just keep the blinds we have? No. Okay, then could we get new blinds? No. Okay, then could we get wider blinds because they were the little minis? Could we get wider ones? Could we get them with the I guess they were really going deep and looking into it. Could we get them with the fabric tape on it? No, you can't do that. Not going to be good. Not good for the room, but I mean, okay, he's got me because the functionality is so good, and it's a very bright kitchen space where people sit and, read the paper or whatever they do, and they get light coming into your eyes. You can really control the light, but I am really fighting hard for something else, something like a Roman, something that will add a little softness to the space. I think that's one of the things I don't like about blinds. Like you're saying, it kind of comes along with the rental. And if you're in a rental and you've got them, I'm so glad you've got window treatments that work nicely and are function well. So, I'm not turning my nose up to that. But if you are doing a renovation or you're deciding to change out your window treatments, blinds wouldn't be my first stop. I would pass over them. I think you can get a better option. There's so many different ways to block the light with liners and things right now. But, if you're coming just down to the brass tacks of blocking the light with the most control, blinds kind of win, don't you think?
Oh, well, yes. If you're more concerned about
about your functionality.
I'm sorry, I'm choking.
Well, you feel my pain here then. I'm trying to look on the upside in case I lose this battle. At least they have great functionality.
Oh, yeah. Well, and something that I hadn't really planned to cover, but I was just thinking about it because I just put these in a functional outbuilding out here at our country place, and that is a window film to block the UV light coming in. And it's kind of one of those films you apply to the glass, and then you can put a window treatment on top of that if you want. But I was amazed at how much that cut the heat out and the light coming in. I have a utility space where we have some food stored, and I don't want the bright light shining in there. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to keep it temperature controlled as well. So that's something.
Is that where you keep the really good wine? Because I might visit that area when I come see you.
Yes, but it's kept under lock and key.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. We don't have anything like that. We're not fancy that way.
Window film did make it onto my list, so I don't know if you want to talk about that now that you brought it up, but it is a thing.
Ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think you said it all. It is a thing. Film is a yucky word. I mean, I guess if you're thinking about camera film, that's fine. But a film on something, you're like, yuck. But it is a film, and it is some sort of plastic adhesive. And so, it really, I think, depends on what kind of texturing it might have. It also depends greatly on the person who's installing it, whether they're doing a good job or not. I certainly wouldn't put that on my front windows in my house and call it a day, but using it in the way that you did, sort of a side building or a garage window or something like that, where you don't want to put some fabric and you just want some either obscuring or, like you're saying, I mean, I'm actually surprised that it blocks the UVs that much and there's less heat in the room. So, I mean, that's another good reason to use it. But it is a thing, and particularly if you're in a place that you're not going to be in for a long time and you don't want to make holes in the wall with curtain rods or drapery rods, and you don't want to go into the expense of having Roman shades made and all that, it could be an option. It also could be an option on a window that you use another treatment on as well, like a curtain or a drape.
Well, so, let me say this,
enough being said, probably, right?
Because they have a reflective film during the day. A lot of times the window from outdoors will appear like a mirror. It's going to block you from really being able to see in a lot of cases with a lot of these. However, at night, it reverses. So if it's more light on the inside than outside, then you begin to see a mirrored reflection and the people outside can see directly in. So that's something to keep in mind. That's bad. Well, so it wouldn't be great for privacy at night. So just an FYI, but for blocking a lot of these rays coming in and reducing the heat, that's what it's really known for. I think it's would be great.
Well, that makes me think of the Mylar window treatment, which is, an actual window. I don't know if it's built into the window or if it's a film that you put on it, but you see that in office buildings. Sometimes you'll walk by, right, and you can see the reflection almost like a mirror, but I don't think that does that reverse at night.
Have you looked at office buildings at night? I think they do.
Maybe. Or the glass when you're doing a lineup identification. That's a whole different kind of glass treatment.
Okay, this just went in a very dark direction. Let's move on to the next window treatment, roller shades. And this is a single sheet of fabric, or sometimes it's a decorative fabric on one side and then a liner on the other side. And this is going to roll up on a tube at the top of the window. And this has, you can buy these or you can even make them. I've made them before and I'm getting ready to make some more. And actually I'm going to do one with the string or the cord on the outside, and those are called Swedish roller shades. So I'm very excited about making them. But these are great for modern homes or a minimalist space or even layering under windows.
Now, tell me more about this Swedish roller shade.
Well, the cord is actually outside. Normally you don't see the cord. It's kind of wrapped around a mechanism at the top of the shade. But this one's kind of like, it's more manual looking. You just kind of pull it and you see it going up. There's hooks at the top that take the cords over to the right, and that's what you're pulling up or down, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a natural woven with cords would look?
Well, except the cord is actually, there's two cords and they go around and hold it in place. And then they kind of are braided together and they go down the side, and that's what you're pulling.
Wow, interesting. Okay. I'm going to look that up because I've never seen one of those.
Yes, look it up. Pros and cons is that they are sleek and simple, and they are available in blackout, light fillering, or solar fabrics. They're great for a clean architectural look, but the cheap ones are not going to be very decorative on their own. So next we're going to go on to Roman shades, and those have a soft structure, and they're going to fold in soft pleats when raised. And I love these for traditional spaces, bedrooms, or anywhere where you really want that softness, but you really can't put any curtains.
I love Roman shades. And there are so many different ways that you can have the fabric be designed. You can have it really loose. You could have it tailored. You could have it very plain where it just drops down. You could have it with those bars that go through. I would suggest, even if you don't want to go to the expense of, using the shade store, look at their site. They have really great illustrations and then also images showing you all the different ways that you can have a Roman shade made. I mean, of course you can Google that, but then you're kind of all over the place. They do them in every which way you can possibly think of. So it's a great resource, even if you didn't want to, as I said, go to the expense of using them to install. You can at least get an idea of the kind of look that you like. You can have inset, so they could be inside mount or they could be outside mount. If you're doing them inside mount, you're going to have a little bleed and a light bleed that comes through. I mean, this is really true with any inset type of window treatment, even if the super functional mini blind is going to give you a bleed on the sides if it's inset. So it's something to consider depending on what room you are using these window treatments in. If it's a bedroom and you're very sensitive to light, then you probably want to go with an outside mount. And therefore, you're really minimizing the amount of light that will bleed through that seam. And it, still a little bit of light coming in, but it's much more filtered because maybe it's got to go across another inch or two on either side of the window. So something to consider. Also with the Roman shades, as we say with draperies or curtains, hang them high. You can go higher than the windows that you have to make the window look taller. To bring your eye up in the room, which is always a great idea. So you can create some additional height in the room that way, either by just putting the Roman higher, having it made longer, so more material, but you can also do a header at the top so it really looks nice and finished off. I love doing that, especially in a room that doesn't have very tall windows or are kind of lacking in any architectural detail. It adds a little bit more oomph to it.
Yes, and they're very beautiful and I love them, but the downside is that they can be very pricey and usually you have to have them custom made. So that's something to think about with those. All right, next shade is the woven shade, and this includes bamboo, grasses, or reeds, and they bring organic warmth to a space. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of my very favorite things to use. I love using bamboo shades, and I try to use them as much as possible. And going back to your thought about the inside mount or outside mount, I prefer an inside mount with most any of these, any shade or blind or any of these things. I prefer an inside mount, and then I like to frame them with curtains. But if it's the Roman shades, then I think that's kind of in place of usually the curtains. But I love the bamboo shades with the curtains on the side. Then that covers that gap that you're talking about. But I think it's going to look more custom if you do the inside mount.
Totally agree. If that's something you can do and you don't need to block every little tiny bit of light sneaking through, I would 100% do that. It's a little trickier, particularly if you're doing something where you're measuring yourself. And there are a lot of options online where you can just put in your measurements and order. And I always, even though I measure twice, 3 times, 4 times, I always have my fingers crossed that they're going to work for myself or my clients. That's hanging drapery day is very stressful for me all the time because I'm like, oh, now they're here and it better work. So you definitely want to measure a few times and make sure that you have a good measuring tape. You know, don't use one you would use for sewing. You know, you want to have a really good measuring tape that would be appropriate. If you have a problem, you could cheat it a little bit, but I mean, only just a little bit by maybe putting a little fill, like a little shim in there, but you don't want to have to be doing that at all. And, you know, you can't make it smaller once it comes because it's all, you know, all the apparatus is in there. So you got to get that right. But I 100% agree, Anita, that this is my favorite type of window treatment, either to use alone or to start with, because you can add on the fabric draperies, or I think about draperies where they're longer and then curtains as they're shorter. So I kind of use those terms that way. I think you might use them a little bit more interchangeably. So when I'm saying draperies and curtains, it's kind of the same thing. But I think about draperies being a little bit longer to the floor and curtains being shorter. But either version, you can definitely flank the sides of a window that's already covered with a natural woven, whether it's a bamboo or some other wooden slat or something that's even a little bit more textured. And again, there's so many places to get these made, and you can find them in a lot of different price points. They are a little bit more expensive, obviously, than blinds, but I do think in general they're less expensive than having a custom Roman done in fabric. So check into that. And then if you're in a situation where you're like, I just want to get some coverage, I don't know if I want draperies or curtains later on, or budget doesn't allow for that right now, having the natural wovens on their own is perfect solution. And then you can always add on later on.
Well, when you are measuring, you are correct. You need to be very, very precise. You need to measure at the top of the window and at the bottom. Sometimes it is not the same, and you need to put in the smaller measurement if these are inside mount. Now, if you get an inside mount, they're actually going to cut off maybe like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch so that they're going to fit okay. But if it's an outside mount, they are going to give it to you exactly with the measurements that you provided. So do be very careful. I will say I work a lot with blinds.com. This is not sponsored, but I will say they do have a policy. I haven't tested them on this yet, but they will replace them if they don't fit. I don't know how many window treatments they will do this with, but they say they do have a guarantee. And I have had them malfunction maybe a year or two later, and they did cover that as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a great policy, but and gives you a little bit more breathing room if in case there's a problem. But yeah, definitely do the right measurements. I love that point that you made, especially living in an old house like I do. Nothing is plumb in my house. Nothing is the same. You think, oh, there's two windows are next to each other. They're not the same. And yeah, you're right. From the top to the bottom is probably not the same either.
No, and actually, you normally cannot move these from one house to another. Mm-hmm. But one of our old houses, I took out the natural woven shades that were inside mount, and they actually fit in this house as outside mount. And I actually ended up having the right amount to do a couple of rooms. So it worked out very well. All right, ready for the next one? Honeycomb shades.
These are also... I'm not ready for that.
These are, well, they're out there. We have to face it, Kelly. We cannot turn our heads.
Okay, all right. Let's just cover it quickly.
Okay. They're also called cellular or honeycomb shades, and they have air pockets that trap air and improve insulation. So these are great for homes with extreme temperatures and for energy-conscious homeowners. But I'm going to tell you, the downside is decorators hate them. They are dust catchers. They're going to get so dusty, and if a decorator comes over, you might want to pull the curtains because they're not going to. I'm just going to tell you now, they're not going to like them.
They're just, they're ugly. They're ugly, but if you have them and you like them and you're very energy conscious, which I really applaud you for, you'd rather buy a new sofa than replace these. I totally get it. And they work. They're not as functional as mini blinds. And I would say I actually like a mini blind better. There's just something very not good about these as far as aesthetics. And on top of that, you can't even applaud them for the functionality because you can't filter the light like you can with a blind. You have to have it up or it's down. They do have light coming through. They're not totally opaque. They're not blackout normally. I don't think they make those like that. It would be too heavy. And just the looking at them from the side really is unappealing because they have that sort of diamond-shaped honeycomb thing going on. And they do attract dust, and you can't really wipe them off. There's some sort of coating on this fabric. And I say fabric, it's almost like paper, isn't it? It's like some sort of laminated paper. You can't.
I don't know. I've never been that close to them.
Terrible.
I know. I'm sorry.
I love it.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time to anybody that has these.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But you can't really wipe them off. And that makes me curious. Like a mini blind, you could get in there. And I mean, I grew up with mini blinds at some point in my life, I'm sure. I know. I remember this. My mother cleaning them blind by blind. And we also had jealousy windows, which was like a whole weekend. My parents would like, that would be fun for Memorial Weekend. We'll do the room with the jealousy windows and clean them all. We knew how to have fun. These are really hard to clean. I mean, I guess you could go over them with maybe one of the attachments from your vacuum, but then you might squish them. It's just not good.
I don't know. Yeah, that sounds like they're just going to get mangled. So
if you've got them and they work for you, then fine. But I would not consider putting them in.
Yeah.
They even have them at the shade store. And I think, really? And I guess people must buy them.
People buy them.
But maybe it's more of a commercial thing. I could see them in a commercial setting, in an office.
That's
better
true.
Than that Mylar than you can see in all at night. I don't know, but not a great choice. But now they're there. Just try to avoid them.
Well, it just goes from bad to worse. Are you ready for the next one?
I know it's going to be now that you said that.
Vertical blinds.
Yeah.
And I speak as someone who had them in my very first house, and I always hated them. They kind of got mangled a lot. They were, I don't know, just not fun to use. But these are blinds that go up and down rather than across, and they're typically used for sliding doors or large windows. And they have a very, very office-like feel to them. And again, budget friendly, but they're just not very comfortable looking. They're very kind of cold and office-y looking. And again, designers do not like them.
No, they're not attractive at all. And they've been around now for so long that when you see them someplace, more than likely someone didn't just put them in. So sometimes there's like one that's missing. There's just a hole in it, like you lost a tooth or something. It's all very bad. So I understand wanting to cover up a large expansive window, but we're going to talk about other ways to do that. I also think they're not very user friendly when you're talking about trying to cover a sliding glass door, which oftentimes is when they're used, because you do have to have them pulled all the way to the side to actually slide the door open and then get through. Now, have I seen people that don't pull them all the way to the side, and maybe their kid opens the sliding glass door and then is kind of shoving the vertical slats aside to get out? And this is probably how they fall off and look like they have a missing tooth. So, none of that's great. So I don't think the functionality is that great either. It was just like a way, how are we going to cover these doors? I don't know who came up with this. We should look that up. Who first?
Yes, that's right. And punish them.
Damn that person. Exactly. If they're not in hell already.
Oh my gosh, Kelly.
Let's send them there. Let's see. I'm going to look that up while you're chatting. Go ahead. Let me see if I can find anything.
That sounds a little rough.
Well, sometimes you just have to meet force with force. Go ahead.
Well, the next item is Plantation shutters, which I chose Plantation shutters for a house a couple of times ago, long ago and far away. I did choose Plantation shutters, and they are great for Southern homes and traditional architecture. They were very popular quite a while back, some time ago. Durable, great light control, and people loved them, and they were really beautiful. But here's the problem. Well, they were very expensive, but I knew that at the time. But the problem is they block too much light and the room ends up feeling dark. Even if you have those shutters open, if you have the shutters, in, so that this is basically like a shutter that covers your window, and you can swing them open so that you can see the whole window, or you can close them and then adjust the louvers for those that might not know what they are. But with them closed and just adjusting the louvers, you're still blocking a massive amount of light into the room. And the only way to reverse that is by opening them all the way. And a lot of times you don't really have room to open them because maybe there's artwork on the other side or a piece of furniture, or maybe there's something in front of them blocking it. So these really require a wide berth for you to open those. So that is really why they fell out of favor, was how they block so much light in the room.
Yeah, they are pretty. And I do think they work in certain homes and that are in certain geographic areas where maybe you need to have a lot of light blocked. You could think about Florida. I mean, maybe even here in Southern California, Houston was always very hot, right? So if that's what you're after and you like your home to be a little bit darker and protected from the sun and the heat from the sun, then it might be a good choice for you. But there's a lot of drawbacks, and Anita pointed many of them out. And what I find with them going into various people's homes, clients and whatnot, is sometimes people will just have them in one room and it doesn't really go with the rest of the house. That I always think is weird too, because I think it's a very architectural choice.
Yes.
So I could see it being, in certain homes, like picturing a home that could be in Florida. Maybe it has like a little bit of a Mediterranean or Spanish vibe, or very Florida feeling, if you know what I mean. Then it really works. Maybe you've seen homes like in Key West or whatnot, where the shutters are actually outside the windows. That's kind of a cool vibe, right? Yeah.
Galveston,
so that's
South Carolina. Low
okay.
country.
Galveston too. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I guess maybe then people sort of brought them inside and they became these plantation shutters. And oftentimes they are, the wood is really nice and chunky and heavy, which is part of the problem that it blocks too much light. But yes, if you do want to open them and allow light to come in, then you've got this giant shutter opening up inside your house. I have a client with this exact problem. She lives in a beautiful townhouse very close by to me, and it does have like a Mediterranean thing going on. So they kind of make sense. But the problem is we wanted to put draperies in her living room, and she had these in her living room. So if she put the draperies on the outside, flanking them, then she kind of always had to have them closed. And then you're just dealing with being able to adjust them up and down. And then if you want to open them, then they would cover the draperies and it would just look weird. So we just had to deal with them. And her dog wants to look out the window and the little dog can't see just through those little slats. So she keeps them open all the time. So you can't even have art on either side of the windows, really, because when you open it, it's like it's blocking the art or it's banging into the glass of the art. It's kind of weird.
One of the reasons I really liked them at the time was because the house had very horrible looking windows. And so this way I didn't have to look at the horrible windows. But the downside was the room was kind of on the dark side. So
yeah.
Well.
But, this is all about your evolution. And speaking of, let's get back to the vertical blinds momentarily. Vertical blinds were invented by brothers Edward and Frederick Bopp in Kansas
Watch
City.
out, she's after you.
Yeah,
Run.
I'm going to bop you on the head, boys. In Kansas City, Missouri, around 1950, they developed these window treatments as a versatile, easy-to-clean alternative to traditional curtains, later patenting them in the 1960s under their company name Sun Vertical. But guess when they became super, super popular? 1980s, of course. There were other design and aesthetic things that were also unfortunate in the 1980s. So that's that. So we've come a long way, baby. Try not to use the vertical blinds.
Okay. And the last item on my list is curtains, and I also call them drapery. So yeah, I use them interchangeably. These are fabric panels that hang from a rod. And of course, there's lots of different ways that the curtain can attach to the rod, which we've talked about before, so I won't go into that. But they add softness, they frame the window, and if you hang them tall, and if you hang them up higher, they can make the ceilings feel taller. Endless fabric options if you go with custom curtains or drapes. They can add luxury and warmth. They can add pattern and fun and beauty to a room. And I don't know. I love these. I love them, like I said, paired with bamboo shades. Downside, well, I mean, just like with anything, you're going to have to maintain them. So if they get dusty, you're going to need to dust them or potentially wash them. So, I mean, I guess that's a con. And some of them can be expensive, but I would say the pricing on these has gone way down because now they're available in a variety of sizes, whereas before it just seemed like you had to have them custom done to get anything decent. Now there's some really nice ones out there that are being mass produced. So I love them. What can I say?
I agree. And very few things change a room as dramatically as hanging draperies and hanging them high. It changes your room in that it brings your eye up. Think about a lot of the furnishings you're going to have are kind of eye level or even a little bit below. You might have a bookcase here or there. You might have something over the mantle, but a lot of the pieces of furniture you're going to have in a living room or even a dining room for sure, chairs, a table, they're kind of eye level or a little bit lower. So when you are able to bring the eye up in a room with some beautiful panels, whether they're solids and maybe even texture, but certainly if it's some sort of print or it's a luscious material like a velvet that your eye really can discern the texture, that's a wonderful way to transform the room. It really adds so much character to it. So I'm all about draperies, and you do not have to use them to actually close and block off the light. You can just have them there to flank, like we were speaking earlier about having the natural wovens under them, and then that's maybe the thing that goes up and down or open and shut, and the draperies just are there. And so then you might be able to cheat a little bit about how much width of the fabric that you have. You don't have to maybe get full coverage if you're not using them to actually close and gain some privacy or block some light. So there's a lot of ways to think about just using them for aesthetics. And it is really important in a space to think about the window treatments. So we covered so many things today. And you can also think about something we talk about is not using any window treatments. And
True.
you can save a ton of money that way. If you don't need the privacy, if you are okay with morning light coming in, it doesn't have to be every single room in your home, of course. You probably want some window treatments in bedrooms, but maybe you don't even need them. So don't knee-jerk to having to get something. Only do if it's going to enhance the way you live in the space, whether it's through its functionality and aesthetics or one or the other. But I think that considering both is really the way to go, and then think about what will work in your budget.
Well said. I feel like that covered it.
Okay, so what's your crush?
This is a fun movie I watched recently on Amazon Prime called Ballet Shoes. Have you seen it?
No.
Well, it was really kind of a sweet movie. It was produced by the BBC in 2007. It's a television movie adaptation of the novel Ballet Shoes. The story follows 3 adopted sisters, Pauline, Petrova, and Posy Fossil, who are raised in 1930s London by their guardian, Sylvia Brown, and their nanny after their eccentric great-uncle disappears while traveling abroad. And it centers on the themes of sisterhood, perseverance, and independence. And it was just a charming, sweet film where nothing really bad happened. So those are always a plus for me. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I don't really like to see a lot of bad things happening to people. So anyway, it was fun.
My Crush is a company that I discovered for dog toys, but not necessarily just toss toys or squeaky toys, but sort of enrichment toys. I was looking for something to sort of slow my dogs down when they get little tasty treats, particularly during dinner time, because I don't know what happened. Once Emma turned 15, all of a sudden he was Mr. Under the Table looking for scraps. And he was never like that before. Maybe he's like, hey, time's running out here. I'm going to make the best of it.
Well, I think he was like, wait a minute, there's good food under here.
Yeah, it took him a very long time to figure out what we were doing up there at certain times of the day. But I was like, this is super annoying. Like, he never did this before. So I was looking around for why that might be happening at a certain age in a dog. I didn't really get great information on that. I mean, I guess it just, as the personality is. But Lamb Wolf Collective makes great plushie toys, a variety of different toys. But I love the plushie things that they have that act as enrichment. And what is enrichment? Well, it makes your dog think a little bit and have to put a little effort into getting their treats. So the first thing that I started with was a 4-piece deep dish pizza that is all squishy, and it does have squeakers in it, but it has little holes on side of each slice that you can tuck a little treat. And then it comes in a cute little pan and whatever that you can store it in. But so now every night at dinner time, I just break up his treats into small little tiny pieces. I tuck them into the sides, and he is snuffling away in the other room, having a great time trying to get these treats out while we enjoy a leisurely dinner and not having him under the table making little whiny sounds.
Oh, I think that's what I've been seeing, where there's these toys for the dogs and there's all these little extra things on it. And I'm like, what is that? So
yeah. So this is little holes, little pockets, I should say, where you tuck in the treat. And he's really enjoying it. And it's funny, our little one who, she's just very easygoing and sits on her pillow while we eat dinner. But she's figured out now that there's something good in one of those slices of pizza. She'll slink in, like she goes really low and then slinks into the other room and grabs a slice and brings it back. And she works on it. So they all seem to really enjoy it.
Oh, so they break apart.
Yes. So it's just like,
nice.
Yeah, the pizza, but there's 4 pieces and then two pockets in each one. So you have eight treats.
And does it take quite a while for them to get it out of there? This reminds me of those dishes where they put the food where it slows down the eating.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking about that for him as well, but he doesn't eat the same time we do. Yeah, I would not have a 6-course meal and expect him to still be snuffling. But, we can get through a salad and an entree while he's snuffling.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, it's working out, but it's a really cute site. So Lamb Wolf Collective, I'll put that in the show notes. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time, fabulous, fun, wow, even better than I had hoped or expected. These are just a few of the words used to describe a DTT design consult. We've been doing consults for many years, and boy, are we good at it. And people are loving the results of the advice and suggestions that we make for them. It's so easy to schedule a consult with us. Just simply go to our website, decoratingtipsandtricks.com, and click consult. There you'll be led through the very simple process. And sooner than later, you, I, and Anita will be discussing your home in detail. So sign up for a consult today. Let us help you design and decorate the home that you want and deserve. Looking forward to talking to you soon.